Hey there, wine fans. It's WineShark with you with another wine basics video. Today we're going to talk about wine classification systems. In this video, you're going to learn how and why different wine growing countries classify their wine into regions and how that might help you select wines. So to begin, we probably should define what is wine. When we classify, that's the basic starting point. In the EU or European Union, the wine is an alcoholic product made exclusively from grapes. Here in the United States, we expand on that to specify that it's an alcoholic product from 7 to 24% alcohol by volume, designed for consumption, not industrial use, and that is made of grapes, but can include other fruit too, so long as it's mentioned on the label. It does exclude cider, which is made from apples, perry, which is made from pears, and sake, which is made from rice. But in my personal opinion, we're wrong, they're right. The EU, speaking about being specifically from grapes, helps make sure that you're comparing apples to apples. Well, sorry, making grapes to grapes. Sorry, blackberry wine lovers, but that's just kind of the best way to do things. I'm perfectly happy to have beverages made from other things, but you have to get your own name. So why would you classify your wines? Well, the first thing is for preservation of market or preservation of trade. By classifying specifically via geographic region, you ensure that your product stands out from similar competitors. As wine has gone worldwide as a product, you want to make sure that your wine stands out in a marketplace full of other similar wines. We also have found that specific wine growing regions may have very different styles of wine and very different growing conditions that change how grapes taste. We also want to preserve heritage, right? So many of these systems are designed to make sure that the wine today is preserving the heritage of the wines of yesteryear, and that the wines of tomorrow still have that same high quality, so that when you slap a label like Champagne or Bordeaux on something, you can be guaranteed that the product within is of high quality. So again, tradition plays a large part in this, and appellation or geography is generally how we classify these things. These appellations are unique growing areas as they matter to viticulture. The climate, the geography, the soils, the physical features, and elevation, for instance, all might have an effect on how the grapes grow and how they taste in the final product. Generally speaking, you can think of these classifications as a pyramid with very broad specifications at the bottom, leading to more and more specific or smaller and smaller geographic areas. The smaller the geographic area, the more prestige it gets. Generally speaking, the less wine it produces overall by comparison, and therefore the more prestigious and expensive the wine might become. It's also a handy way to compare how wine from different parts of different places have different tastes and qualities. So we're going to talk about the variations from different countries here for a moment. I apologize in advance, by the way, about any mispronunciations I might have. The world of wine is complicated, involves dozens of languages, and I am by far and not an expert, but I do my level best. So we're going to begin, though, where this all began, in France. In 1937, they laid down a system to help specify what types of grapes and how wines were made. Production standards are often part of these classification systems. These things, for instance, might control the alcohol by volume minimums that are used in the product, the maximum yield for a particular vineyard, things like irrigation, whether it's legal or not, and things like label information and what you have to place on the label or what cannot be said on the label are all part of these systems. So France begins with their basic broad end of the pyramid with Vin de France. Vin de France literally just means wine from France, and it can be grapes and grown pretty much anywhere. If you want to get more prestigious and you want to have a little bit better, tighter control, you want to look for wines with an IGP designation, which stands for Indication Géographique Protégée. This is the indication of geographic pedigree. Basically, this has a specific place that it's from. Beyond that, that's the middle level of the pyramid. The top level of the pyramid is the AOC or AOP system. AOC stands for Appellation d'Origine Contrôlée. Between 2007 and 2012, they went through a process of revision with the European Union to standardize with other wine-growing countries. But AOC and AOP basically are the top of the pyramid, and they can get even more to the point of the pyramid with specific chateaux. Many of these names are popular and known worldwide, things like Bordeaux, Burgundy, Chablis, Champagne. Those are actually names of AOCs, or now AOP, which stands for Appellation d'Origine Protégée. Spain has a very similar system. Broad end of the pyramid, Vino de Mesa. Then you get to Indicación Geográfica Protegida, then up to the Denominación de Origine, or even higher, the Denominación de Origine Protegida. This is the same system, same pyramid as it works in France. In Italy, they actually have a very broad level called Vino, simply wine. Then you might have Vino Varietale, which is wine of a specific variety. You also have then the IGT in Italy. Instead of IGP, it's Indicazione Geografica Tipica, wine that's typical of a region. All right. Then you have their DO, Denominazione di Origine. And then the highest level of them is the Denominazione di Origine Controllata e Garantita, DOC and DOCG. Again, lower part of the pyramid, all the way to the top there with DOCG. In Germany, they have a slightly different system, a 4-tier system, but it represents the same broad to narrow specification. Anbaugebiet, or the base level, then Bereich, or regions within that, Grosslage, and then Einzellage are the smallest versions thereof. In America, we have the AVA, or American Viticultural Area. We don't have different tier names, but we can nest AVAs within one another. So you might have a broad area like Paso Robles with a very specific AVA underneath it, like Santa Margarita Ranch. Many of these names you also are familiar with in American winemaking, things like Napa, Sonoma, Lodi, Willamette Valley, Yakima Valley in Washington. Those are all examples of the AVAs. In Australia, they break it up a little bit differently. They don't necessarily have a single controlling body, but 3 different areas of control. They have the Food Standards Code, which talks about what goes into wine and how wine is made. They have the Label Integrity Program, which talks about what has to be on the bottle. And then they have the Geographical Indications Committee that specify what types of regions they accept. So as you can see, there's some variation from country to country. But how do we use that in practice? Well, unfortunately, this is a second-tier challenge. This is a level where it requires some memorization on your part. It requires some investment on you, the winemaker. You just kind of have to know, and you have to either become comfortable with the language barrier or memorize the steps that go into naming one of these. You have to know which part of the broad or narrow end of the pyramid you happen to be on. But if you find something that you like, if you have a country where you know you like the wine, dive in and learn. I recommend stuff like Winefolio. The book from Winefolio is fantastic at giving you accurate geographical information and makes it easy to learn in a very visual, learning and friendly format. Okay? Seek specificity. That's the thing I can say most is the more up the pyramid you go, the higher towards the tip, the more you're going to get more unique wines and you're going to have fun exploring those areas. So that's your basics of wine classification. We'll go into more detail in another video, but thank you for your viewership. Comment below with your questions or notes on wine regions that you've encountered. What's your favorite? What's your least favorite? Anyway, I hope that you like, and if you do, please subscribe. Hit that bell and get notified for content when we produce it. And if you like, share with the wine-loving friends. If you really like what we're doing, support us on Patreon, follow us on Vivino. All the details are in the comments below. Once again, thank you, and from your WineShark, cheers.